much. We want to be as polite as possible to everybody here tonight. About 15 minutes in, we'll go to my colleague Emily Volz at Channel 10. She is monitoring social media. You are encouraged to join us on Twitter and Facebook. Use the hashtag NBC10Debate. We will have closing statements at the end. 1 minute, 30 seconds allowed for that. So, without any further instructions, let's get right to it. Tone and tenor is our first topic of discussion. Let's clear the air. Mayor Fung, first question for you. You have alleged several times this week that the governor and Joe Trillo are in cahoots, that they have conspired to cut a deal to work against you. You're an attorney. What is the proof of that you can offer, and what is the prize for Joe Trillo, Mayor?
Well, there's two proofs. There's a rare moment of honesty that came from Mr. Trillo when he admitted to the Providence Journal that he was in it for one reason, and that's to ensure that I'm not elected as governor.
Totally untrue.
And the second point just came recently in the filings that these two are in cahoots. The Democratic Party has been spending tons of money to prop up his mailers and make sure that he splits the vote in this election. We all know the two of them have cut a deal to help his family members, and that's wrong, and that's got to stop.
Hold it there. Go ahead, Mr. Trillo. I know you want to get in. You said that's absolutely not true.
That's absolutely not true. I would have to be the craziest person in the world to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money to get in a race, to get a favor that I don't need. I'm pretty well off financially. I don't need a job, nor do I want a job other than being governor. He knows that's the truth. All he's trying to do is diminish my candidacy, which he's done from day one, because the Republican Party gave up on him. They pulled all their money out of his race because they know he can't win.
Let's hold it there. Governor Raimondo, you jump in. Do you have a deal going here?
Absolutely not. And frankly, it's offensive that the mayor would suggest that. I don't see much difference between Mr. Trillo or Mayor Fung. Both of them support the president's policies. They haven't stuck up for Rhode Islanders when the president has tried to undo the Affordable Care Act. They oppose roadworks. They oppose the economic development initiatives that I've been bringing. They're both going to throw this economy into reverse, and Rhode Islanders will get hurt.
I'll give you more time to go through the list, but you're saying absolutely no deal.
Absolutely not.
Let me ask you this. Before I do that, Mr. Gilbert, do you have an observation on this to make?
Absolutely. I think the tone and tenor of this election and many elections is just gone through the roof. People don't want to talk politics anymore.
Do you believe there was a deal, though?
I don't want to talk about the deal.
No, but I'm asking you, do you believe there was a deal?
I have no idea if there was a deal. What I want to talk about are the issues. We got pension liabilities that we got to talk about.
You'll get plenty of time for that, but please follow within our format. You'll get plenty of time for that. Mr. Trillo, I'll get to you. Mr. Trillo, I understand your stepdaughter is a very talented magistrate, and it's unfair to drag her into this along with other relatives. However, you know the circumstances. You know how politics works. Can you assure us that if Governor Raimondo prevails, no one in your family will ask her for any kind of a favor or any kind of a job or promotion?
First of all, my stepdaughter has been a magistrate for 3 years. She has 7 more years to be a magistrate. I have no intent of asking this governor for one single thing, let alone to help my stepdaughter. My stepdaughter is a very capable young woman. She's on her own. She's got all the merits and ability to move forward. She doesn't need my help.
Governor, I know you can't rule anybody out. That's almost against the law. But in the context of this, would you say, Joe, really, don't bring that to me. Don't bring me that name, and I'm not going to look on it.
Yes, I would say that. I don't even know who Mr. Trillo's stepdaughter is. Look, the culture of favoring insiders has held this state back for a long time. The fact of the matter is we need to change that culture. Enough with the special deals for special people. Ever since I've stepped foot in that state house, I've been trying to change that culture and make it more accountable and transparent. And the thought that we have some kind of a deal is offensive and totally untrue.
Governor, let me follow up with a question. In many of your ads, you have characterized Mayor Fung as a failed leader presiding over a city with blighted neighborhoods and ill-served constituents. What is the basis for that? You just said you see little difference between the two of them. Does that mean Mr. Trillo is as bad as Mayor Fung? What is the basis for that?
The basis is the facts. The mayor has been mayor of Cranston twice as long as I've been governor. In that time, he has repeatedly, more than 5 times, raised property taxes. His pension is about 25% funded. That means they have about 25 cents for every dollar they owe. People are at risk of not getting their pensions. It's probably why he has to keep raising taxes. Under his leadership, Cranston has fallen into what the state calls distress status. That means because he's raised taxes so much, it's such a burden on the people, the state has to give him more aid. And before I became governor, Gene, it was the only major city in the whole state that didn't have all-day kindergarten. So it's just the facts. It's not negative, it's the facts.
Mayor Fung, respond to that.
Yeah, Governor, why can't you be honest about the facts? You know, I'm proud of Cranston. And so are Cranston residents.
That's enough.
We're proud of the fact that we're one of the best cities to live in America, named by 3 years in a row.
Have you raised taxes 5 times?
Governor,
yes or no?
let me talk about what's important here.
Alan,
because are you sitting here with that designation calling?
Mayor Fung, wait.
Let me answer the question.
Just address that simple question, and I'll let you respond. Have you raised taxes?
No, Gene, stop. I'm not going to sit here taking you on and take her on.
Please,
you gave her the opportunity, Gene, to respond.
I give you plenty of time.
I will respond, Gene, in my answer, please. Please, I don't want to sit here fighting everyone on the stage. We know these two already have a deal.
Let him respond.
But
He's
the fact of the matter
he grew a
is,
spine in the last 30
hold on,
days.
All right, listen.
Gene, let me please respond in fairness.
Go ahead.
You said open 8 minutes, and I will respond. You gave her an unfettered, uninterrupted, but why can't you be honest, Governor? You know, we are one of the best cities to live in America. Cranston residents are proud of that fact. You know, our schools are doing excellent things. I can tell you, Governor, you know, with that designation you just threw out there, are you calling the mayors of Johnson, North Providence, or even Woonsocket, your Democratic colleagues, incompetent? Because I'll proudly stand with them in what they're doing in their cities and towns. Let's talk
Mayor, you're about even
your
now.
tax raises in government. 4 straight budgets where you've raised taxes. You found the tax for every single thing from cigarettes, computer sales, even tolls that are being passed back on to us.
Mayor, I've got to jump back just a minute, Governor. Mayor, she asked you, did you raise taxes? Please clarify that for us.
Look, Gene, and I can tell you, just like she has, I've raised taxes, but I've made sure that I've been fair to the taxpayers. I've reformed our pension plan in the right way, unlike her. I sat with our union members across the table to get that funded percentage that she dishonestly says is at 25% now. But where did it start? It was 16% a couple years ago.
Mayor, thank you for responding. I appreciate that. Mr. Gilbert. Audience, please don't take away. Thank you. Mr. Gilbert, we've been criticized for inviting you here tonight. I was listening to several radio stations. Some people think you don't belong here because you're struggling to get about 4%. And on election day, you will fight to get 5%. I want to make sure that you are welcome here. We invited you. But square that. Why should you be here tonight if you're not polling above 4 or 5%? Tell us.
I think exactly what you did to me in my opening comments. The people here want to talk about issues, and you want the media and these 3 people diverted to vicious attacks. We need to talk about schools, crumbling pensions. You know, we've got a $9.6 billion budget. We're not talking about that when we're getting into this. So one of the things that I want to do when I'm here is I want to elevate the discussion. I want to inspire people. These people came here to hear our ideas, not to see a fight. We can go fight somewhere else, not here. Don't waste our time. Don't waste their time. I'm going to fight for my 5% because I'm trying to change politics going forward. That's what I'm trying to do. I've got a list of things that I want to talk about. I'm not going to get in the mud, I'm not going to roll around, and I'm not going to let you steamroller me. So here I am, let's roll.
We're not steamrolling you. We just ask that you follow the guidelines that you agreed to. Your answer is you want to fight for your 5%. That's why you're here tonight.
I want to fight to win. I want to change minds, and I want to get to fixing the state. We have a $9.6 million budget. We have kids that are dying at DCUF. We have a UHIP problem that we're not talking about as long as we're fighting.
All right, let's go to our second area of discussion, jobs, economy, and taxes. Mr. Trillo, the governor is not shy for handing out tax breaks and incentives to attract jobs. She says it works. Will you do the same under the Trillo administration?
I would do it differently than she's doing it. What I propose is to have a small business economic opportunity program for people who cannot normally borrow money through the regular channels of banks and the SBA, to give out small loans, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 loans as economic opportunities for these people to start businesses. And we would have a department that could take them through the steps that they need to follow. My goal would be to put $20 million. She's given $275 million away. My goal would be $20 million in a pot will allow me to start 700 incubator companies. Now, they're not all going to succeed, but the ones that succeed are going to grow into bigger and better companies, because we know, and I know as a small businessman all my life, that small business is the heart of this state. And I'm the only guy that understands the trials and tribulations that small business faces.
Very good. Governor Raimondo, you'll keep going the way you're going, tax incentives, tax breaks. You think that works?
It is working, absolutely. Let's look where we were when I began. When I started as governor, we had the highest unemployment rate in the country. We had, in certain industries like the building trades, the unemployment rate was over 20%. There were no cranes in the sky in Providence or in Johnston or other places. We were struggling and there was no economic development strategy. So I put in place a strategy to help small businesses, make it easier and cheaper to do business, and have a commerce program. Now, you know, both of my opponents say, or previously have said, and certainly Mayor Fung has said, they're going to undo that program. I'll tell you this, Gene. One program alone, the Rebuild Rhode Island program, which the mayor opposes, that one program alone has created 10,000 jobs, average salary, $65,000 a year. So what's at risk on Tuesday is all those jobs and the new jobs that we're going to create. These folks who are running against me are going to throw our progress at risk. Rhode Islanders will lose their job, and we're going to go right back to where we started before we started changing things.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Fung. Yep. Mayor Fung.
You know, the only risk that the voters have is electing you for another 4 more years. And you got to stop with your fairy tales about the economy in Rhode Island, because I think all Rhode Islanders see those license plates going to Massachusetts. How many of the hundreds, if not thousands, that take that commuter rail up to Boston for better paying wages? And I can tell you and tell all of Rhode Islanders, that corporate welfare culture where millions of dollars are going for a few elite companies is going to stop. That Rebuild Rhode Island program, yes, I will put a grinding halt to all those dollars. I would repurpose those dollars back into sales tax cuts for all Rhode Islanders, keeping a lot of those dollars in our local economy, in our local restaurants, in our local retailers. I'd have my low fee guarantee that is going to cut fees for all business owners and professionals. So how about sending a message that we're the lowest fees of all New England states? And for those entrepreneurs, yes, many of you at Rhode Island College that want to start a business, my concierge program, just like the concierge program I have in Cranston, is going to help you cut through the red tape, find financing, open up your doors, and how about not even charging fees and taxes in that first year?
Got to hold you, Governor. I will let you respond. Let me just get Mr. Gilbert in. You're all about even on time, Mr. Gilbert. Your response, do you have an outside-the-box plan, something different?
Actually, I think we should be for economics. I think we should be focusing on education, vocational education. Going forward in the future, our tradespeople are retiring at an unheard of rate. We don't have a bench right now, and if we don't get some tradespeople, plumbers, plasterers, electricians, heating and refrigeration people, if we don't start educating them, the businesses aren't going to come here because we're not going to have the skills to support them. The other thing that I want to do is focus on tourism, and here's why. Tourism doesn't put pressure on our housing market. It doesn't run up our housing. It doesn't compete for housing, and it pays very high dollar wages when the tourists come into the state. So here's what I want to do. I want Rhode Island to be known. I want the summer to belong to Rhode Island.
Right,
I want a slogan. The summer belongs to Rhode Island.
That's very nice. But the original premise was Governor Raimondo gives out tax breaks, incentives. Would you do that?
No, and I kind of find it ironic that she's a Democrat, but she's for Wall Street, not Main Street.
How is that Wall Street? Can I respond to that?
Audience, please. Governor?
Right. So the response to Mayor Fung, a fairy tale, let me just tell you the facts. There are more people working in Rhode Island now than at any point in our state's history. That's a fact. I'll tell you another fact. Last year, Rhode Island had the highest wage growth in the country. That's a fact. Another fact, we have the lowest unemployment rate that we've had in the past 30 years. Mayor Fung, those are facts.
Right.
These are not Wall Street. These are our friends and neighbors. These are people building buildings, working in healthcare, working in manufacturing. I'm rooting for Rhode Island. I'm there for Rhode Island. I'm not pulling the rug out from under the thousands of jobs that we've created for our friends and neighbors in Rhode Island.
Mr.
she wants to take credit for all the good that's being done in Washington because it's actually trickling down into Rhode Island. So yes, our unemployment rate is low. Yes, some of the things are good. The financial situation is good. But she doesn't want to give any credit to what's going on in Washington, to what's happening in Rhode Island. She thinks she deserves all the credit. What a misconception.
Governor, you have said President Trump deserves no credit. You have said that.
And I will repeat that.
All right.
I mean,
and Mayor Fung?
It's absolutely ridiculous that I agree with Joe.
Hold on.
She's trying to take credit.
Mayor Fung, repeat yourself. I want to hear it. The applause were a little loud. Go ahead.
She's absolutely trying to take credit for what's going on nationally. When we're seeing a better economy just north of us in Massachusetts and we're lagging behind, we see those renowned license plates across the way in Seekonk, up in Boston. It's got to stop. And I want to jump on what Bill said on one moment when he talked about tourism. Who can ever forget that failed Cooler and Warmer program that showed Iceland instead of Rhode Island? 550,000 of your taxpayer dollars wasted. That's not
true. That is not true. That was a mistake, clearly a mistake. We learned from it. Right. But let me tell you this, Gene.
Hold on.
You want to talk about mistakes, Governor? I will go down the litany of mistakes at DCYF.
Let's do that.
Let's go down DHS.
Can't do that now.
Hold on. About all the mistakes that
hold on.
We cannot afford another 4 more years of your mistakes.
We're going to stay in the format. Now, our manager here will alert. Our manager here will alert our security. We allow applause. We will not allow booing and jeering or any disruption. So that's a first alert, and we do have security. Please work within our rules. I want to go to my colleague, Emily Volz, who is back at the studio. She's been monitoring social media and getting the reaction to our program so far. Emily, what have you got for us?
Well, Gina, as you might imagine, there is a lot of reaction about all the arguing that's going on, people saying, get out the boxing gloves, which I guess kind of begs the question, does anyone regret the tone of their campaign so far this season?
Getting plenty of reaction from the fireworks. Some people are enjoying that, apparently. Others want to see more. Others want to see more substance. Security, please do your job. We will not tolerate this. Horns or anything else, you'll be asked to leave or you'll be escorted out. We're going to move to our third area of discussion, education and public safety. We have some of the highest paid teachers and some of the most poor performing schools in New England. Governor, you've been in 4 years. What's the scorecard? A baseball manager might have been replaced.
I don't agree with that, Gene. Since I've been governor, we've made record investments in public education, and we're starting to see the results. Test scores are up, AP test scores are up, SAT scores are up, graduation rates are up. Also under my leadership, Rhode Island's one of the only states in the country where we teach computer science in every grade starting in kindergarten. We've made huge investments in career and technical education. We've brought about all-day kindergarten to every kid in Rhode Island. I mean, the basic fact is every child deserves a chance to go to a flourishing public school. I will say there's a huge contrast between the mayor and me on education. As I said earlier, Cranston didn't even have all-day kindergarten until I became governor and brought it about. They had pretty much no public pre-K until I became governor and brought it about. Last year, Cranston East had to close for a whole week because it was in such poor repair, and I've shepherded and led a historic school construction bond. So my record on education and caring for kids is clear because, frankly, my whole life was made possible by a good education. I came from a family of meat cutters, and my dad got a college degree on the GI Bill, and I want to make sure every Rhode Island has those chances.
Let's hold it there. I don't want to fall into a pattern. Mr. Gilbert, your ideas on education, and has the governor done enough?
I think the method of education in the state of Rhode Island right now serves some people very well, and a lot of people it doesn't. And I think we need to address that. Clearly, we do a really good job in some of our cities, the East Greenwiches, the Barringtons, the North Kingstowns, but in Central Falls and to some of our communities, it's not working. They're not college bound, and we're not training them for the skills that we need. I think that we need to institute pre-K. I think that's something that we need to do universally. I think we need a universal vocational program. I'm going to hammer that home day after day. I also think that the kids that are going to college are getting saddled with some student debt that's just unheard of. It's the #2 form of consumer debt, and we have to do something about it. It's going to be our next financial crisis, like the housing crisis was, when our student debt, which is about 11% of our population, owns the second largest form of debt there is out there in paper. We got to do something about it. So no, we're not doing enough.
Mayor Fung, the governor says you're not the man to fix it. You have problems in your own city.
The governor should be fired, period. And she really should stop lying about our Cranston schools. I can tell you, Cranston teachers, Cranston administrators, and Cranston parents have had enough of your deceptive ads. The graduation rate at Cranston High School is up by 20%. I've given millions to our schools, not only to fund their educational programs, but also millions to fund their infrastructure. We're doing a lot of great things. Cranston voters are going to show you next Tuesday that we're proud of our school system and our city. But most importantly, let's take a look at where you're failing. You're failing these students at Rhode Island College with your program, your Promise program. You were dishonest with everyone when you said it wasn't going to cost any money. But who ended up having their tuition raised? These students at Rhode Island College, my alma mater. The students at URI had their tuition raised. And then 4 out of 5 students at CCRI are not even completing enough college courses to move on to year 2.
That is not
That's
true.
a failure.
That is not.
That's
That's
a
just
failure
not
in
true.
program.
That's just not true.
Where are we transition?
Hold on.
Where are we transition, Gene?
Hold on, Mayor. Mr. Trillo, get in on this. Education, your view, and then, Governor, I will give you a chance to.
What I would do that's different than what's being done right now, first of all, I would change the Commissioner of Education. One of the things that we're hearing with education right now is that the kids are running the schools. That has to change. We have to put discipline back in the classrooms. We have to start to listen to the teachers. We have to bring teachers in and let them be part of designing the programs. Not that we hire a Commissioner of Education who comes in and dictates exactly what's going to work and what's not going to work. And we need major changes. The other thing I would do is I would increase our trade schools. I would make sure that we are teaching some of the odd trades where we're losing those tradespeople. Today, people can make as much money as a plumber than a lawyer can make. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. We're trying to pigeonhole all kids into getting a college degree, and I think that's a mistake.
Let's hold it there. Governor, I said I'd give you a chance to respond to Mayor Fung's charges.
Yeah. It's just factually inaccurate. Because of the Promise program, which allows anyone to go to CCRI tuition free for 2 years, we've seen over a tripling of students on path to graduate. You have to go full-time in order to get the scholarship. And we've seen, like I said, almost 4 times as many students on path to graduate. I agree it should be applied to RIC. I tried to get that done with the legislature. They said no. And in a second term, let's make the Promise Scholarship here at Rhode Island College. This is the ticket. In order to get a good job, you need some degree past high school.
Let me just move the discussion along. Quick answers, please. The CCRI free tuition, Joe Trillo, would that continue under your watch?
It would continue, but I would tighten up the qualifications so that we're not sending kids there that are not qualified just because it's free.
Okay. Well, Governor, we know your answer.
Yes.
Mayor Fung, would you continue free tuition at CCRI?
I'd freeze it for the current students, but reform it so it's on the back end as a tax credit, so when they're living and working in Rhode Island, they'd phase out their student debt, because we have a big brain drain under the way the standards are set up now.
You agree we have a lot of student debt. Would you continue, Mr. Gilbert, would you continue free tuition at CCRI?
I would actually tweak the program. And I would allow it to be used for certificate programs. There's a lot of 6-month programs and 1-year certificates that the business community needs way more than an associate degree that doesn't happen or doesn't come to fruition, because these students are not matriculated all the way through. Mm-hmm. So right now it's a waste of money. I would actually expand it to cast a wider net.
All right, let's stick with the area of education. However, let's bring guns in schools, things like that. I know, Governor Raimondo, you do not support anyone carrying a firearm on school grounds, but how would that stop someone bad who has bad intentions? They're not going to listen to your rules.
Look, Gene, since I've been governor, I have lowered the flags to half-mast 12 times. I have sat, just this week, with teachers and third graders who tell me they're afraid. The solution is no guns in schools. So I took action. There is no one thing. There is no silver bullet. There is no one thing. But I've consulted widely with the state police, with experts in law enforcement, and they say, and they agree, let's ban guns in schools. I needed to take action as a mother, as a governor, to keep our kids safe, and that's what I did.
All of our candidates want to keep our students safe. Joe Trillo, no guns on school grounds, is that effective? And do you think, what about metal detectors at the school door?
Gene, I spent many years in the security industry. I was an industry leader, and I've designed a 10-point plan that can be a pick and choose. It starts with making the building more secure. I'm also the guy that secured the State House. When I first got elected, there was no security at all in the State House. I designed the program that is in place today.
So yes or no on guns not being allowed to carry on school and metal detectors? Just quick yes or no.
First of all, you need metal detectors. You need to control who carries a gun on school property. But to say no one can walk on school property with a gun and you're going to keep innocent people that are good law-abiding people or police from carrying guns, it's not
Mr.
right.
Gilbert, you have a little time to make up. Yes on guns being carried on school property or no, and metal detectors, and then Mayor Fung, you'll get the last word on this topic.
Like you said, nobody wants to see children get shot. Nobody wants to have the gun problem that we have today. But we're not going to solve this in the commercial, but between commercials here, right? But I think it's pretty odd to say, hey, I'm going to pass a law and then we're not going to have guns in schools. We already say don't kill people. Unless we put a single point of entry, unless we harden our schools, unless we use metal detectors, it's just talk. Remember the old saying, trust but verify.
All right.
So the question is, do we want to harden our schools or don't we? Just passing a law that says don't bring a gun to school is not going to prevent the tragedies that we're having. What we got to do is we have to have a comprehensive mental health program. Our mental health programs, we have to hold parents responsible when they leave their kids out so their minors can get them. That should never happen. We can live with the Second Amendment and not expect people to get shot. We can do both.
Let me go to Mayor Fung. You'll get the last word on this particular topic.
Yep.
Yes on banning even legal firearms on school grounds and metal detectors, yes or no, Mayor?
I don't want to take a firearm away from a law enforcement officer who might be off duty. So a piece of paper, like you said, is not going to stop a criminal from coming in and doing harm to our kids. My proposal is to do a 50-50 split with the state and local communities that want to put school resource officers or additional police details, and providing for $30,000 in straight grants to all 306 schools. And if it's a metal detector that they decide is right, or if it's single points of entry, or whatever film, bulletproof film on the glass, that is what they should decide at the local level. And I also agree with Bill. It is mental health. I'm proud that in Cranston we had provided additional dollars in our school budget so that they can have additional social workers to help with many of our kids.
Let's move on. Thank you. Thank you, audience. My producer's telling me that so far everybody's about even on time, so let's move to our next topic. It's the last of our extended topics. This is mistakes to be corrected. Governor, we have mistakes at DHS. The UHIP computer screw-up, a $600 million mistake. You admit to pushing that button too soon. Are you the person to fix this if you haven't been able to fix it so far?
I would say the good news is we turned the corner. Today, for example, is the first of the month. The lobbies were flowing. There's no long lines. Actually, we're processing claims faster than we ever have, faster than Massachusetts, faster than most of our neighbors. So we're going to continue to make it better. We've gotten nearly $100 million back from Deloitte, and there's more to be gotten there, and I'll sue them if I have to. But, yes, we made mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes, and we've turned the corner. But there is a risk. That's a computer glitch. It was a big one, and we've learned. There is a real risk in this campaign that if either of my opponents are elected, the next time Donald Trump tries to undo the Affordable Care Act, Rhode Islanders will lose their health care.
All right. I think the audience senses a shift in topics. Let's stay on topic. Mayor Fung, UHIP, day one, what do you do?
You know, she can't tell the truth about turning the corner. $660 million of our taxpayer dollars is going down the drain, and it's still going up. I'm going to fire Deloitte. First and foremost, they're responsible. They've had problems all throughout the country. And that's not the only department she's have out of control. You're talking about DCYF, 24 kids. Another child just recently died on DCYF care and custody because there's not enough frontline social workers. Even our police department, she wants to criticize me. Look at the scandal that's going on with Rhode Island State Police, where you've got troopers that are leaving because of what she's done, you know, forcing interference upon our state police. As soon as Colonel Assumptico ended up, you know, going in the office, forcing a no-bid contract for $200,000 for one of her donors' uncles for an assessment that wasn't even needed. And that's just the start.
Let me get back to DCYF. We will cover that. Joe Trillo, day one on UHIP. How do you fix it? Day one.
First of all, one of the things I wouldn't have done is continue to pour the money that this governor has poured into the UHIP, trying to solve the problem. When you look at Deloitte's record, all over the world, they're being sued for case after case, state after state, for all the mistakes that they've made with computer programming, yet this governor continued to pour money in. What I would do is I would bring in somebody new, and let's basically see what's salvageable, what is salvageable we'll use, and we'll do a build out from there. But you know the big thing I hear from these two is they're all learning by their mistakes. Mayor Fung, he messed up the police department in Cranston. He's sorry for it. I learned by my mistakes. I'm growing. Governor Raimondo, I'm learning, I'm growing. Guess what? Go out and grow and come back in a few years.
Governor Raimondo?
Yeah, just a few things. Let's remember, I didn't hire Deloitte. I inherited this project. Most of that money was spent before I became governor. Now I let it go soon. I've owned that mistake, and we've turned the corner. You cannot compare an IT glitch with public corruption. When the state police took over the Cranston Police Department, the state police said the mayor ran the department like the mafia. Those are the words of the state police. He personally weighed into police business to help his friends. I mean, that's public corruption. That's not an IT glitch.
Let's hold it there, Governor.
And that's the culture that's held this state back for too long.
Thank you. Mr. Gilbert, well, let's move toward DCYF. Children have died on the watch.
If you mind, if I have a little time, because I hold my certification in IT project management. So day one, it's real simple. What you do is you go in and you bring the director and you bring the project manager into the office and you ask them, what are your key events? What are your milestones? And what's your expected completion date of each one of those things? And at something like this, you want to handhold it. You're beyond just waiting for the people to do the right job. You're going to handhold this thing in. First, every morning and every night, I'm going to expect a report. What's my ECD dates for my key events, and what's my milestones? But here's the issue I have. I've heard Mrs. Raimondo say this numerous times, that she owns the mistake. She owns this problem. If she does, can she tell us what the next key event is and what the next milestone is and when is that date due? And I'll yield my time to her to answer.
Go ahead, Governor.
I can, absolutely. I have a call with the CEO of the company nearly
the key
every
event.
other
I'm yielding
week.
my time for the key event.
We have a new software update
Again,
going
Gene,
into production
Mr.
in
Gilbert,
about a
please,
week and a
you
half.
asked for an answer. She's giving it to you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we have a new update going in about a week and a half, which improves what's called the worker inbox, which will make it even quicker. But again,
the due date?
Today, it's in 2 weeks. It's supposed to be in 2 weeks,
Okay.
November 17th. But listen, today was November 1st. Before I became governor, if you went to DHS office on, say, November 1st, there'd be a line out the door around the corner.
Again, I'd rather pontificate on my time.
If you went today, there was no line. The wait times were minutes because the system is finally
what about the
working.
registry?
Let's go back to
There's a line there.
Mr. Gilbert. Hold on. We're in DHS and DCYF. I want you to begin the conversation on DCYF.
DCYF.
Children have died. You have a better solution?
I got in politics in 1994 because we had an issue called night-to-night placement in the state of Rhode Island. Kids were sleeping in the hallways. Some people say that we judge our society based on how we take care of our sick people and our children. We've had people die in the care of DCYF under the supervision of DCYF while we're trying to give billionaires and millionaires money. It's wrong. We need to get somebody that's going to take responsibility for these issues, drive them home, handhold them, and know what those key events are, know what those milestones are. No corporate welfare until we fix the children.
Okay. Mayor Fung, you pick it up there.
You know, Bill's absolutely right. We need more money for frontline workers because when these workers have caseloads well above national standards, they can't provide the attention and detail. And it all started with this governor because all she cares about is these six-figure jobs for her political cronies. The person she put in charge in the first place shouldn't have been there. And that's what I will bring, competence from the top down. And let me just talk about the untruths that in the fairy tale she keeps spinning about my police department. Even her former colonel, O'Donnell, said that those facts in that police report were not true. And just recently, one of your captains at the state police took a deposition and said that all those facts that you keep citing, those deceptive ads, were not true and not appropriate finding, just mere hearsay.
The report. It's all in the report.
You want to talk about the report? If that report was so bad, why did I get the support of our Cranston Police Department? Why did I get the endorsement of the state FOP? And why did your own Troopers Association donate to me, not to you?
Hold it.
That's a fact.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. We are even on time. Mr. Trillo, your chance to join in on DCYF. You've been at the legislature many, many, many years. You know that's been a perennial problem under many administrations. Is this fair to the governor to hang it around her?
Well, it is, because under her watch, things are happening, and the supervision that should be happening is not happening. I'm hearing that children are dropped off in foster homes and left there sometimes for a year before somebody even checks on them. You can't drop a child in a foster home and not check on them within a week or 10 days. What I would do is make sure we have enough personnel to be able to do that, to bring the child into a safe zone. That zone may be the automobile of the social worker, but they've got to be taken out of the environment and interviewed once they're dropped off. There's so many things that need to be done. But let me tell you something. Mayor Fung is talking about all the things he's done. He's a weak leader. That's what he is. And what he's telling you is a bunch of fairy tales. You can't take one single thing he says to the bank, because he will tell you anything he needs to tell you to get elected.
He takes 30 seconds to respond.
Actions speak louder than words. You know, 3 times we've been named one of the best cities to live in America, one of the best places to raise a child. You know, good schools, good parks, a nationally recognized library system. And those are the commitments I'll make to all Rhode Islanders, improving our education system, improving our library system, making sure we have a great place not only to work, but to live.
Great. Let's go to my colleague, Emily Volz, who is monitoring our social media pages, Facebook and Twitter. Emily, what are they saying so far?
Gene, there are quite a few questions about President Trump and his decisions and how the candidates, what they think of those decisions and how they would work with the president if they were elected governor. There's this one question from Rye. What are the candidates' stance on Trump trying to end birthright citizenship? Just one of several questions about President Trump.
All right, very good. People watching at home want us to quickly get to President Trump and your reaction to some of his policies. We will do that. We will do that. And I want to again urge the audience, please be fair. The applause is fine. Your support is fine. Please no booing or jeering. And the next step will be we will physically eject anybody. We don't want it to come to that. Let's move now to the second half of our program. This is called our lightning round. Many, many topics. I'd appreciate short answers so we can cover a lot of ground. And we'll go bang, bang, bang all around. Let's begin. This state, it seems, poised to legalize marijuana for recreational use. Mr. Trillo, good idea or bad idea?
I think the only time we can talk about legalizing it is when a police officer can do a road stop and administer a test right then and there. Then we can talk about legalizing it. But until then, I wouldn't be in favor of it. When that day comes, I'd be happy to put it on the ballot and let people vote on it.
Thank you. Governor, yesterday a plant manager said, I don't want those people working for me. That was in Smithfield.
Yes,
Yes.
he did say that. I hear that often from manufacturers. They're worried about it. They're having a hard time finding talent as it is. I'm open to it, but I'm cautious about it. I mostly worry about kids. I've talked at length with the governor of Colorado, and he says go slow because it's hard to regulate it so it doesn't get into the hands of kids.
Okay, Mayor Fung?
You know, I think someone needs to get a joint for Joe to get him to calm down a little bit. But what I'll tell you, I am also open.
Does that mean you'd legalize it?
I'm open to legalization so long as the enforcement concerns. I'd even go so
You
far
probably
as to
smoke it
put
all the
it on
time.
the ballot.
I think we've made the news cuts for tomorrow. Mr. Gilbert, your view on legalizing recreational marijuana, yes or no?
I think we should absolutely legalize it. The amount of resources and waste that it's bringing to our system, bringing the intrusion of the police into our lives, our prisons are filled with, we got better things to spend our money on than recreational marijuana. I think we need to decriminalize it, and we need to start focusing on the real drug issues like the epidemic of opioids that we're having.
We're working our way toward the president. Governor Raimondo, you have spoken about giving licenses to illegal aliens. You haven't gotten around to doing it, but you sounded supportive of that. Are you going to move toward that in the second term?
I'm still supportive of it, yes. I think this is a matter of public safety. This is a matter of public safety.
Yeah.
A dozen or more other states do it, and I think that everyone driving on our roads should have a license and be required to get insurance.
Mayor Fung.
You know, and this is a big difference between myself and the governor. First of all, I never lied to the Latino community like she did, that she promised them 4 years ago she would do it by executive order. Where are we? She deflected like she always does and still making promises to you. I wouldn't do that. I told you then and I'm telling you now, I do not believe in driver's licenses for those that are here illegally.
Mr. Trillo.
I think we have a complex problem. The complex problem is we've become a sanctuary state. And all we can do if we continue to give driver's license to illegals is welcome more illegals into our state. Mayor Fung, all of a sudden, once I jumped on this issue of eliminating a sanctuary state, he had a brainwave and he decided he was going to come out with the same thing because he's a copycat. He has no original thoughts.
Can I respond just quickly to that?
Yes, you can.
Quickly to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Joe, I'm the only one that had our police department arrest and contact and someone just
His
this past
police
week
department,
about
by
an
his
illegal
own
individual.
chief, has been running under the same rules as Providence and Central Falls. So he doesn't even know what his own police department's
Mr. De La
doing.
Cruz is now under the
Oh,
custody
big
of
deal.
ICE.
One guy.
Okay,
One guy.
hold it. Mr. Gilbert, we are discussing driver's licenses for illegal aliens. Would you support that?
I think we're actually talking about the immigration issue that the country has as a whole, and we can't fix it piece by piece or block by block. I think if we want to address this, I think this is something that we should put to the voters, but we need to address the whole DACA issue altogether. We can't have what Trump's doing down at the border and what Obama did before him, separating the kids from the children. But you know, we got a really high-class problem. People are trying to come to our country. They love it so much. That's why I can't stand what's going on here. People are trying to get here, and we're not talking about issues as people are dying to come in our country.
Right. The issue was driver's licenses for illegals, yes or no?
I thought my answer was I think it should be put to the voters.
All right, very good. Let's move on to other questions now. Again, we're in our lightning round, as many as we can get in. Do you support birthright citizenship? And before anyone says that's a federal issue for the president, people end up in Rhode Island. People who go through this end up in Rhode Island. Mr. Trillo, do you support birthright citizenship?
No, I don't. For the simple reason, again, it's another encouragement to bring illegal immigrants into our state. And we need to stop welcoming illegals. What happened to our state is we've got 30% of our population right now on Medicare. And it went up 10% in the last 12 years. And the Democrats would have them come in by the millions because they vote for them, and they keep buying votes for them.
Governor, you know the 14th Amendment.
Yeah,
Is it correct, birthright citizenship?
100%. If you're born in America, you're an American.
Mayor Fung, you're also an attorney.
You know, I'm a proud parent. You know, I'm proud that my parents came to this country. I was born in this country, and I won't change it. And you certainly can't change it by an executive order.
Mr. Gilbert, 14th Amendment, birthright citizen. Yes, you continue it?
Absolutely. I don't know why we're even having this discussion once again.
Because it's the news of the day, Mr. Gilbert. That's why.
It doesn't make it
And because our
newsworthy.
viewers asked that we address it, Mr. Gilbert.
Yeah, well, you know,
Okay,
I thought we were trying to educate the population here.
Oh well. Let's move on to another topic. Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
would you have more cooperation with ICE, immigration enforcement?
Again, this is another question on immigration. We can't piecemeal this. You want to pigeonhole me. I can tell you what I'm going to try and do if I was elected governor. I would like to elevate the conversation from the hat that he wore or because he was the guy's chairman. I'm not worried about President Trump. I'm living in the state of Rhode Island, and that's what we're trying to talk about tonight. And if we keep going off on these tangents, I'm just disappointed. I thought we were going to have a higher level discussion.
Well, thank you for the advice. Mayor Fung, will you cooperate more with ICE?
I love Bill's levity. All I can say is, you know, I'm the only one on this stage that signed that agreement with the Department of Justice that our local police will cooperate with federal law enforcement. And we've proven that we have done that, taken a dangerous criminal who came back, who was deported and came back into our country, committed more crimes, and we called those federal officials, and he's in their custody right now.
Governor Raimondo, he sounds like he will cooperate more with ICE than you will.
He's lying. And he's politicizing public safety to scare people to get votes before election. I have to say this, I actually agree with Mr. Trillo with what he just said. He said, the mayor's own chief of police said nothing's changed after the mayor's political stunt. Let me tell you the facts because Rhode Islanders should feel safe. We follow the law, we follow the Constitution. ICE knows every time someone gets fingerprinted, it goes into the database, ICE knows about it. ICE needs to do its job. And people are safe. We're going to keep them safe. And I have to say, enough is enough with politicizing this to scare people.
Governor,
Trillo, you have the last word. Go ahead, Mr. Trillo.
That's dishonest with the voters.
Go ahead, Mr. Trillo.
I agree with the governor. The mayor is lying. His police department is doing exactly the same thing that Central Falls and Providence is doing. And only in the last 2 or 3 weeks did he have this brainwave where he decided he was going to do something about illegal immigrants because he will do and say anything to get elected. You can't trust somebody like that. You can't trust them. What I would do is I would turn over people. The governor has an executive order right now with the state police that says, and the prisons, that I have a copy of it on my desk, which says under no circumstances, when a prisoner is released, should any prison personnel help ICE apprehend anybody. That's not healthy for our state.
Got to hold it there. We have just a couple of minutes left in this round, then we will go to closing statements. Governor Raimondo, the paw socks are gone. There's nothing more to do. What will you do for Pawtucket?
We're going to fill McCoy. We have to put our back into Pawtucket and be there for the Blackstone Valley. We're going to find another use for McCoy, whether it's another sports team, et cetera. We actually just announced that we are helping them to rebuild the train station. We're making a lot of investments in Pawtucket. I did everything I could to keep them. They're gone. They got more money from Worcester, but now we have to be there for the Blackstone Valley and create more jobs.
Mayor Fung, can you do more to get the paw socks? Is it a dead issue? Are they gone?
No, and it's gone because of her lack of leadership, not having the individuals sit down at the table. Even Mayor Grebian said she lied to the papers when they had everyone in the room. That never happened. Under my watch, I would have had all the stakeholders and the executives in the room offering the same deal like what happened in Foxborough, working on economic development and infrastructure. You know, and just want to jump back to that last
Mayor,
question.
15 seconds. We have to go to closings. 15
Yeah,
seconds.
and jump back to the last second. You know, these two, as we've seen, not only partners in this election, partners in crime with that last question on ICE.
Got to hold it there.
These two are lying to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
He
Closing,
continues
Mr. Trillo,
to
closing
try to
statements
perpetrate
by
that
lot
lie.
were drawn. Governor Raimondo, your closing statement, you won the drawing of the lot. Go first.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you to Rhode Island for listening this evening. I have worked hard as your governor for the past 4 years to bring about change to Rhode Island. When I started, we had one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. Our roads and bridges were falling apart, and we didn't even have a plan to fix them. So we got to work. changing the way we build our roads and bridges, changing the way we do economic development. Today, all around us, we're fixing the roads, we're rebuilding schools. We have the lowest unemployment rate in 30 years and the most number of people working at any time in our state's history. My opponents want to undo that change. They want to pull the rug out from under Rhode Island, throw this economy into reverse, and Rhode Islanders will get hurt. I want to keep going, so every Rhode Islander willing to work hard can get a good job. So tonight, I'm asking you for your support, and I'm asking you for a chance to continue bringing change and to continue and finish the job that we've started together.
Thank you, Governor. Mayor Fung, by lot, you are the second to go. Your closing statement, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was born in South Providence to immigrant parents who barely spoke English. But I don't believe in barriers. Not for myself, not for the people of Cranston, and certainly not for Rhode Island. My parents taught me that hard work is the only magic wand for success, and we worked hard to transform Cranston from a city in financial distress to one of the best cities to live in America. And here at the state level, the challenges will be even greater. You know, Gina has wasted your money to the tune of over $1 billion. Her arrogance in ignoring the feds has caused a $660 million disaster at UHIP. Gina stole your COLA to pay off her hedge fund donors on Wall Street, and her crony opponents at DCYF have led to not only disastrous policies, but 24 children have died. We've lost the poor Sox, as we've heard. We've been mocked with cooler and warmer, and despite Gina adding $1 billion to the budget in just 4 years, the lines at the DMV are around the parking lot. You're not going to see me on the cover of national magazines, but you will see me down at DHS, DCYF, listening to frontline workers and reforming the culture of corruption on Smith Hill. My plans will keep your kids safe in school. I will cut taxes. I will reduce waste. And my message tonight is clear. If you like the way things are going, well, Joe and Gina are your team. But if you want the change Rhode Island desperately deserves and needs, I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you, Mayor Fung. Thank you, audience. Thank you. Representative Trillo, wait for the applause to die down. Thank you. Thank you. Representative Trillo, your closing remarks, please.
Yes, I want to thank everybody tonight for watching this debate. I think the choices are very clear. You can vote to elect Flip-Flop Fung or give away Gina. They're both here. They're both very disingenuous people. The mayor is the most disingenuous person because he would have you believe that he's come up with all these ideas, when in essence, the idea of eliminating a sanctuary state, I came out with it first. The pension reform, I announced that I was going to do some form of pension reform because the people that are out there have been buried by Gina Raimondo and Alan Fung, who was on the commission that put together the whole pension reform program. And I was going to give them a 3% COLA on the first $20,000. And we were going to look into all of the wrongs that were done and go back and sue the companies to recover hundreds of millions of dollars. Bottom line is, these two were bought and paid for by the lobbyists. It's the lobbyists that are ruining your state. I paid for every nickel that I've put in this campaign, except for a few $1,000s that I've raised from people. And the bottom line is, I will work for you, the taxpayers. For you, the taxpayers. You will never have anybody fight harder for you than I will do. I urge you to elect me your next governor.
Thank you, Mr. Trillo. And our last closing statement drawn by lot, Bill Gilbert, Moderate Party. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, and thank everybody for having me. I appreciate the time of the audience, especially the audience. It takes a lot to participate in government today. Everybody's busy. A lot of people, just the time's not there. But I want to tell you some of the things I'm about. I'm pro-choice. 100% pro-choice. I think females should be able to decide what they do with their body. Okay? As I talked about, something else I wanted to talk about is that student debt. Right now, our student debt is our second largest consumer debt, and I think we need to do something about it. We're selling a bill of goods to our students for jobs that don't exist. When it comes to education, I want a major investment. I want a 100,000 square foot facility in the city of Woonsocket for vocational training, 1,000 student center. I want to pump out students. I want them to come out so businesses want to come here and be attracted. And then we got to work on the economy, and we got to work on our environment in our state so those people stay once they get here. When it comes to the economy, I want to make Rhode Island a better value. I want to reduce the sales tax to 5%. I want vocational education to provide for employers with the most trained. I want vernier calipers. I want micrometers. I want a tourism board. I want it unified. I don't want 5 separate tourism boards. I want those tourism boards to be unified so as soon as you come into the state border or you come into the airport, there's one plan, an overall plan. I want to create a white-collar crime unit to focus on telemarketing scams that are targeting our elderly. These things are new and they're dangerous. And I want to appoint an auditor general to go through all this waste and corruption and fraud and all the stuff that they're talking about. I'm Bill Gilbert, and I hope you'll visit my website and take a look at me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Thank you, Governor Raimondo, Mayor Fung, Representative Trillo, and thank you to the members of the audience tonight and to our listeners at home and listening on the radio. This is our debate. Vote next week on Election Day. Thanks for being with us.